Nick, recently we watched Iron Man 3 again. Great movie, great Shane Black movie. I'm sure you would agree.
I think it's the best one.
I don't. I personally prefer the first one. But that actually brings up a funny... That actually brings up an interesting question. Because we were talking about how we would redo the third Iron Man. Because, real talk, while it is a good movie, it does some interesting left field things.
Just to clear the record, I don't think Iron Man 3 is a bad movie.
Same.
I just don't think it's a good Iron Man movie. Like you were saying, like some of it just felt a little bit off.
It, especially as the last one in the trilogy, it doesn't feel like it does anything worthwhile.
Yeah, because also, like you said, last one in the trilogy, this was people like it really seemed like after this, and besides Age of Ultron, like this was going to be the last time we saw Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark. Mm-hmm. So it was all of this hype around it, and even the trailers had a dark tone, and you know Ben Kingsley really cool. as quote unquote the Mandarin with that people were talking about just the voice alone, like not even like always just what he was saying. It was just like, wow, the voice sounds cool. And then they were getting into like, oh, this line was cool, and wow, it's a Mandarin, and you know, yada 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 yada.
Yeah. But nothing really stuck from that movie. Because Tony took out his chest piece. What's that? The arc reactor.
Yeah. This could have been just Iron Man 2. Fuck it.
It really, because nothing really happened. Like nothing came back from nothing that happened in that movie came back in any substantial way. Mm-hmm. Yeah. The kid was at the funeral in Endgame. Sure, Tony never had another arc reactor implanted in him, but what else? And like, yeah, they referenced Ben Kingsley's character in Shang-Chi. Mm-hmm. But that's it. Nothing worth being Iron Man 3 was in Iron Man 3 in a really blunt way of putting it. So going back, re-looking at all of his solo outings, Tony Stark, how would you redo Tony Stark's character arc starting from the very beginning, but keeping it in the MCU?
So first and foremost, the very first Iron Man movie would be exactly the same. I think that was the best movie in the trilogy. And it's one of my favorite MCU movies. It's top 3 for me. So you leave Iron Man exactly the same. The first Iron Man exactly the same. And then Iron Man 2, I would just have that basically be where he learns about Extremis, because he's like everything. Like when this movie starts off, he's on just Iron Man mode all the time, because the whole like him saying I am Iron Man, in my mind, it's not just him revealing this secret identity. It's him kind of making a promise to be a better version of himself all the time. So Iron Man 2 picks up, and, you know, maybe it's a montage and he's saving people everywhere, like maybe even like all over the world or something like that. And
he's carrying on his new altruistic personality, or not even personality, but
this new mission.
Yeah, the lessons that he learned from Iron Man 1 actually carry over. Because it seemed like in phase 1 and 2, fuck it, maybe even 3, there was a lot of like flip-flopping in his character.
Yeah, because like the first movie, it was slightly more serious, and you know, he had that speech where he was talking to Pepper, and he was saying like,
I feel like more mature, not necessarily more serious, you know?
It was more mature, yeah. Like, and then the second one, because like in the first one he was saying like, you know, he's like, there's nothing except this. There was the next mission and nothing else. Like he was serious. Like, this is my life now. I'm trying to make
smash cut to in the Avengers. We're not soldier. Yeah, no, they flip flop a lot with Tony Stark.
Because literally the second movie, he's back to being the kind of selfish, goofy version of Tony Stark again.
And yeah, you can argue like he's dying, so he's kind of like in denial. He's getting into alcohol because that's a big part of his character in the comics, but it wasn't really shown. And also, it's an interesting choice to have that take place in the second movie, like having no substantial time pass for him to like really develop his Iron Man like hero. You know?
It was just, like that's something I would do in like the third one, maybe,
or just a little bit more down the line. But if you are gonna stop at a trilogy, have the end. You know, the quote unquote end of the thread of the end be in the end of the trilogy. You know?
don't have it be in Iron Man 2, and we know he's gonna be in Avengers.
Yeah.
Like, bro. But so that mindset that he had in that scene, where he was talking to Pepper, that would be his mindset basically for all of his other movie appearances. But we would see in Iron Man 2, you know, he's saving everybody, yada yada yada. He learns and in his efforts to keep improving himself, like you see the technology is getting more advanced. He already has like all of the suits basically, or at least like some more of those extra suits.
Definitely more. I don't think it would be I think it would be a little bit much if he had like Iron Man 3 level of suits.
I would have it where like how many suits he had, like 3 or 4 in the first one. By the time he gets to movie 2, he has like maybe he's on mark like 10 or 12 or something like that.
Yeah.
And then like Iron Man 3, he's at like mark 50 or some shit like that. I don't know. But Iron Man 2, he's not dying, saving everybody. He learns of the extremis protocol or the extremis program. And it's because I there was a YouTube video and it was like a motion comic version of the comic. And it was, again, it was a more mature story. It's kind of like a political thriller.
Okay.
I would want to do that. Like I would have it where maybe he's like, oh man, like I saved all these people and yada yada yada. Like maybe it's time for me to just not like retire, but like I'm gonna just like relax or something like that. And then he's watching the news and he sees there was some sort of explosion or some sort of political assassination or something like that. And because he's like, I have to protect the world because I'm Iron Man, he immediately jumps on the case and he's investigating like, who is this guy? Extremis, what is that? And then it's, you know, it's like a mystery, it's unfolding and yada yada yada. And then the scientist that Rebecca Hall played her in Iron Man 3, she was with the brown hair,
the botanist. Well, she wasn't a botanist, but I think that was the joke.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure she was in the comics too, so I would still roll her character in. And then it's like I wouldn't do like a love triangle thing with like him and Pepper and her.
Yeah, you can just call her Rebecca Hall.
Rebecca Hall's character, but it would be like, okay, they have some history. So like when he has to go back and like see her, it's literally just like, I'm just trying to because I know you worked on this. I just want to understand like what's going on because people are dying and I'm Iron Man and blah blah blah. There would still be that kind of like that tension, like resentment and like hurt a little bit. You know, again, like it's a more mature story, and then yada yada yada, blah blah blah. The deeper into this like mystery he goes, at a certain point, I don't know exactly how I would like transition to this, but like, you know, I would have him inject himself with the extremist thing, and then he gets it where he has that ability where the parts of the suit just fly to him and everything like that. Like in the comics, when he injected it, like from the holes, there would be, if he needed to if he was going to put the suit on, really small gold plates would just cover his body, and it would be kind of like, it was like an undersuit, and then all of the pieces of the suit would come on.
Oh.
And it looked cool. I would do that. Yeah, fuck it. So then,
and this is still movie 2.
This is still movie 2.
Yeah.
And you know, it would be it wouldn't be anything like super crazy like that. He would, you know, find the main bad guy and stop him or kill him or whatever, and yada yada yada. And then Captain America, the Winter Soldier would happen, where Shield gets destroyed, and then Avengers and some other solo movies and yada yada yada. So then by the time
you keep those the same, like
okay. For this at least. And then and also at the end of Iron Man 2, Tony and Pepper like officially get together, and just, you know, why not, just you have it where it's like a happy ending and stuff like that. So then Shield falls in Winter Soldier. In Iron Man 3, he
doesn't Iron Man 3 take place before Winter Soldier?
Okay, well then I would switch the order then.
Oh,
I would
okay.
switch it.
Okay.
That was a good point. But yeah, no, Iron Man 3 would be like, I would have it where at some point, maybe either in Iron Man 3 or at some point in Iron Man 2, like you still see that message that he sees like from his father. I would also want to have that. I would have that arc basically be the same, where it's like, oh, my dad wasn't an asshole. He was just like working on all this stuff. You know, it was just kind of like he sees like, oh, this is what my dad was doing. Oh, he founded SHIELD and like, oh, he was trying to do all this technology, but he didn't have the resources for it at that time.
That could also be interesting if they brought more subtext about his dad, and they not reincorporate, but they just kind of have that more prevalent through his character arc.
dope.
Because then when you get to Civil War and he watches his parents be killed by Bucky, that could be like a huge emotional, because like it was huge in the movie, but it didn't feel like it as an audience member. For me, I was like, at most I was like, oh damn, that's crazy. But like it never felt like he was looking for his parents' murder, or like he was fucked up by it. It never really came up.
No, that's a good point. Because wow, yeah, now you make me think like, yeah, what if while he's investigating, he finds out that his dad was somehow involved in this extremist thing. Like maybe his dad was he had the idea for extremists or something like that, but it was like way back in like the 60s or the 70s or something like that. But again, it was just, I don't have the resources to develop this technology right now. So, but it's like all the notes, and that's how, oh yeah. Because you have where like Tony is like, oh, this is what dad was trying to do. And like, that's why this other extremist guy is like kind of going crazy, because it maybe messed with the chemicals in the brain or something like that. Cause like, you know, it is kind of like a super soldier thing, but it's like, oh wow. So if I were to maybe, okay, take dad's original like notes and concepts and his like hypotheses about it, apply it to what I know maybe about my technology, I wonder, oh man, would it have like this kind of effect? Because in the comic, it was like, I don't know, Tony, I don't know if you should be doing this. He was like, yeah, but I'm Tony Stark, fuck it. So you could have a moment like that. So then like, that's why like when he injects himself with the extremists, whatever, it does have like that different effect on his body than it does basically everybody else. Because one, not only did he crack the exact right way to do it, but he also kind of did his own thing with it, his own spin on it.
Put his own stank on that.
He put his own stank on that.
Yeah.
Tony Stank indeed. Doing the stanky leg and everything.
This is why he's the heart of the MCU.
I thought you were going to say, this is why he's the hardest in the MCU.
This is why he's the most stanky.
This is why he is him, everybody. But no, yeah, you could do something like
he had to die in Endgame.
This is why Kang killed him. He was too dangerous, bro. Yeah, Kang set it up so that he would just end up dying. He's like, if Tony lives, like he's gonna throw all that stank on me, and I can't have that. He must be eliminated.
His stank is the one thing my multiverse can't stand.
If Tony Stark exists, there is no sacred timeline, because then it's just the stanky timeline, and I cannot have that.
Oh, and then Loki seasons 1 through 3 come in, and it's like, I have to save Tony Stank. That's the whole reason they're going against Kang. We can cut this out, or fuck it, I don't know.
Nah, leave it in. Leave it in. Give the people what they want. But no, yeah. So then, as he's doing all this like investigating, he's learning more about his father. Just one, like I didn't realize dad was connected with all of these things, because it's not just extremists and SHIELD, but it's like a bunch of shit. And it's like, wow, dad was low key. This was like important stuff, but it was like some of it seems a little bit shady.
Would it be weird? Just complete tangent. Would it be weird? He's finding out how connected his dad is with like all this stuff, and then maybe there's like almost like not a backdoor pilot, but a backdoor opening,
like a prequel or something.
I don't even know how to say it. Where like he's looking, and he's like, oh, him and old Ant-Man dude, Hank Pym. They were working on this project, the Ant or the Wasp project back in the 60s or 70s. I wonder what that's about. And then just kind of like low-key introducing the whole Ant-Man.
It would be a cool Easter egg, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be dope. That'd be sick, yeah. I really like that idea. Yeah.
Thank you.
Because it would be like, wow, he like dad was low key like that guy, and like not even just
Like his
like
respect is growing for him or something. Like
Yeah.
he's starting to really admire him for everything and seeing him in a new light.
Yeah, because it would be like if he was doing all of this shit with like, you know, the Super Soldier program, because he was there doing that. If he was working with Hank Pym and doing like the Ant-Man and the Wasp project, maybe even one of the files says like Ultron, but it's like an anagram or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
Is anagram the right word?
Where each letter stands for something.
Yeah.
I knew what you were saying, so maybe.
Acronym?
Where it's U.L.T.RON.
It's one of those, and it's like, okay, but like, yeah, like it's just kind of it's seen as like fun Easter eggs, but it could set up, you know, the future moves and everything like that.
Like really give Tony Stark, if he is going to be the heart of the MCU, and I guess I'm speaking in future tense, even though this is all over by now, but like have him be connected deeper to all these things.
Because his movies have to be strong. He can't be the most popular character with the weakest movies. And I'm not saying his movies were like the weakest movies, but after the first Iron Man movie, none of like Iron Man 2 and Iron Man 3, they weren't really on the same level as the first Iron Man movie. And like you were saying earlier, 3 didn't really feel like, oh, this is the epic conclusion of his story. It just felt like
another one.
It just felt like another movie. And then, especially with that fucking end credit scene where it was just him talking to Hulk, and he's like, oh, you didn't hear any of that? It's like, you were just telling this to the Hulk? Because also it's like, okay, so you were there. You were here this whole time, Bruce Banner. Like, and it was like when phase, this is a slight tangent. Yeah, when phase 2 started and it was like, okay, after Avengers, I was expecting crossovers and cameos all the fucking time. But they just kept referencing the shit. Like, I can't believe
they were still stuck in that phase 1 mentality of solo movies and Avengers team up movies.
Yeah, have Iron Man being Winter Soldier. Damn it. Shit. Because it's like, that's just so bizarre to me. That's like if Darkseid came to Earth, but, you know, Superman wasn't there. It was like however many, it was like any other character that had to fight him off.
And Batman has to fight him off because Batman's the only one besides Superman who's strong enough.
Yeah, Batman's like, okay, this is the end game now. We have to, and like he gets like his own team. They did that in one of the cartoons, and I was just like,
wait,
are you
what?
serious? It was, matter of fact, it was Batman the Brave and the Bold. Because they had it where
that makes sense.
They had where like, you know, they would have the little cold open for each episode, and there was several of them where they were setting up Darkseid's coming. So then they just had one regular length episode, but the whole thing was Batman dealing with Darkseid and like, you know, some of the other characters, but yeah, like Superman wasn't there. It was like all these other fucking no-name characters, and I'm like, bro, you telling me all of the forces of Apocalypse just for whatever fucking reason came to Earth, and Batman's the one that led the charge, and Superman was still alive? I call cap on all of that. All of that. All of that. All of that.
Why are we talking about Batman?
Because we were talking about like once phase 2 has started, there weren't really any like crossovers and shit like that. It was just like everybody's just referencing the other characters of the other events, but it's like, no, they should like come through. And then it was like, yeah, like, and then there was something that was kind of like related to that.
Well, that actually might be a good segue into Iron Man 3 or back to Iron Man 3, because coming into this, I was just thinking about how I would change Iron Man 3, not necessarily how I would alter Tony Stark's whole character arc.
Oh, I still got to pitch my Iron Man 3 too.
Okay.
But later on.
Well, my Iron Man 3, I think it would have been really cool if they ditched the whole extremis like subplot. It never really felt.
It was just a cool way to like advance the tech once more. Because the first time you had it where like, oh, it's the mechanism, and then the second one was he has the suitcase one, and then the third one like, oh, let's just have it where they float to you,
right?
And then it was nanotech after that.
I wouldn't do that. And I also wouldn't have the whole exploding fire people. I would legit just have Ben Kingsley be the Mandarin. Or actually, it would be really cool if they had the foresight to get who they played the Mandarin in Shang-Chi. Actually, that would be better. That would actually be better, I think. but actually have the Mandarin in Iron Man 3 with the 10 rings. Have him, because it's the Mandarin. Like, that's Iron Man's Joker, basically.
Yeah, and it's like, to your point, it's weird that they it's weird that they never met, but he's been so intertwined in Iron Man's life literally since the first Iron Man movie.
And maybe that's something they should have done more in his whole trilogy, because like you said, the 10 rings were seen or referenced in the camp that Tony Stark was kidnapped at the beginning of Iron Man 1. Have him goddamn notice that, maybe. And he's like, through the first movie, he's like, what is this organization? And the second movie, I don't know, maybe he comes back, but never. It just felt like it came out of nowhere, and it led nowhere in Iron Man 3. So I would really like it if the Mandarin in his true form was the villain and only villain in Iron Man 3, potentially opening up access for Shang-Chi and maybe Iron Fist to hop on the scene.
That would be dope.
You had said something about that earlier.
That would be flames, yeah.
Yeah, and like, just kind of, again, if Tony Stark is the heart of this MCU, maybe that the introduction of the actual Mandarin is also introducing magic into the MCU. And we're going back to phase 2. So like, forget everything that's been going on lately. But pre-Doctor Strange, have the Mandarin in Iron Man 3 introduce magic like in its full extent, like no gimmicks, no actors or anything, like Ben Kingsley's character. And then maybe tease Doctor Strange. Maybe like he comes in to help defeat the Mandarin, or Shang-Chi. Maybe Shang-Chi in this movie is more or he's not quite the main, well, of course he's not the main hero, but he's not quite like who he was in his solo outing. And then when he finally has his solo outing, he comes into his own, something like that. But I do feel like it was a huge missed opportunity to give Iron Man 3 the proper send-off, or even just the proper story weight. Because like I said earlier, Iron Man 3 didn't substantially change anything.
Yeah. Like, all of the villains in each of the solo Iron Man movies were basically just a dark image of Tony Stark.
Iron Man, yes. Yeah, no, like, honestly, because let's break it down. The first movie was Jebediah?
First movie was Obadiah Stane,
and that was just legit he was one for one evil Iron Man.
He was fucking Ironmonger. Like, what if Tony Stark was less about like trying to help people and save everything, and it was just like, let's just get like rich and evil and we're corrupt and yada yada yada.
And then the second one, Iron Man 2, I don't remember the character's name. It was like Whiplash was the villain's name, but I don't remember his like name.
Yeah, we could just call him Whiplash, but
Whiplash. And
you know what? His first name was Ivan, because someone, and this is this is a little tangential. I remember his first name was Ivan because when in Endgame, when Black Widow and Hawkeye saw Red Skull, he said daughter of Ivan. So someone theorized like, whoa, what if Whiplash was Natasha's father? They're both Russian. And she was like, I never knew my father. And
that'd be a weird coincidence.
Yeah, it's like interesting theory. Like, that could be cool. But because of the fact that Whiplash was basically just a nothing character in the overall MCU, and also like age wise, like, yeah, maybe he could have fathered her, but it seems like a bit of a stretch.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, I don't know. It was just like interesting connection, but no, it's not for me.
But yeah, he was like, if Tony Stark had grown up very sad and not rich, basically, and just like vengeful.
Yeah.
And then Iron Man 3 was I do not remember that character's name even a little bit. Do you?
Aldrich Killian.
Aldrich Killian. Yeah, Aldrich Killian was again, it was just kind of like spiteful Tony Stark.
Yeah.
Like you're using all your gifts for like evil, basically.
Pretty much.
Mix it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Like put the 10 rings in there. Like it is insane that they didn't do that. And when they finally did, it was a rug pull.
I'm with you on that. Like, I get because I think part of it was, the Mandarin as depicted in the comics, and I think in some of the cartoons, it was basically like a racist depiction of a Chinese man. So I think that's why Kevin Feige was like, let's hold off on this until we know for sure we can get it right. Because even when the character was explaining, like in the Shang-Chi movie, when he was breaking down, like, it's kind of ridiculous that all of y'all thought a dude named the Mandarin was like this crazy terrorist, because Mandarin, it means like orange. Like y'all were afraid of someone named after a fruit. So that's just like, and like y'all just thought that was me.
No questions.
Yeah, like y'all were really afraid of that. So I like that in the Shang-Chi movie, he wasn't a villain. He was the film's antagonist, sure, but it was just like, he wasn't just a villain. He was like, it was a complex character. Like, dude, the
he
first
just wanted to get his wife back, wanted his family back.
Yeah, he was a dad. He was a dad that misses his wife. Like
he was doing it wrong, but still.
Yeah, because honestly, I was the first image when you saw him in like the ancient days, I was like, this would actually be a dope movie. Like, imagine if they did just let's just make a origin movie for this guy. And like, even though it doesn't tie in with anything else Marvel, except for the fact that he is a Marvel character, but it's just like, this is what he was doing back then. And again, it doesn't tie in. It's just a good, maybe like 1, 2, or 3 films or something like that. That would be solid.
Or just a Disney Plus series.
That would be dope. Yeah. Oh, that would be sick if like, no, let me stop. I'm seeing like where it, like everywhere it could go.
Right.
But you were saying?
Was I? No, I think I said my piece. Do you have anything left to say? Because I don't think you said your Iron Man 3 yet.
Well, first to your point, like you had mentioned you could bring in like Shang-Chi and like Iron Fist or something like that. That would be dope. Yeah, because you could have it where, for whatever reason, like in Iron Man 3, the Mandarin character pops back up again, and he's like, I got it. Oh, this guy's back, because like he recognizes the symbol. So then he's like, I'm gonna just, this is my 3rd movie. Fuck it, I'm gonna just go to like the head of this organization. So he's investigating the 10 rings, finding out all about them. He finds like someone who has a possible connection to the leader, and then that ends up being Shang-Chi. So then it's Iron Man, and he like goes to see Shang-Chi, and then that's how they meet. And then he's like, it's the reveal, like, it's not just that I know who he is. He's my father. So then you get into like all that. Like, you don't get like super into like, oh, he was, what's up?
Maybe they parallel the whole father son dynamic that Tony has with his dad.
That'd be dope. And then he could be like a pseudo father figure to Shang-Chi, kind of, or like at least like a more positive kind of male like mentor figure to him or something like that. And then you could still have the Shang-Chi basically as it was. Because even like maybe in this movie, like, while he's investigating him, there's those rumors like, man, like there's those rumors that he's immortal and it's magic and all this kind of stuff. But like Iron Man's like, I don't give a fuck about that. I'm just here to like take him out. So then when they do the Shang-Chi movie, they actually confirm like, yes, he existed like thousands of years ago and yada, yada, yada. This is what he did with the 10 rings. You could basically just have that movie be the same, except it would just be maybe a little bit more connected, like with Iron Man, just because they had that relationship in this 3rd one or something like that.
Take Ben Kingsley out of that one, and we're good. Even though he was hilarious to me, I feel like the movie didn't need him.
Yeah, when they got to Ben Kingsley, I feel like I like the movie, but I feel like it kind of slowed down for me.
It definitely took a different turn because they were globetrotting and they were fighting, and then as soon as they met Ben Kingsley, it was a little bit more lighthearted.
Yeah, I wasn't feeling that.
It took a detour into the hidden village. I really like Shang-Chi a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even me saying like take Ben Kingsley out, I don't have much bad things to say about that movie.
Yeah, I just think I wouldn't have that fake Mandarin probably at all.
Yeah, no, that is one thing I agree with. Like, I really don't see why they would do that.
Like, I get it's because it is a payoff because they set it up in Iron Man 3, and they even had that little short where Ben Kingsley's character was in jail for all the stuff that he done. And dude, even you remember Justin Hammer from the second time? He was there too. He had a cameo in that scene. And then Scoot McNeary, I apologize if I'm pronouncing that wrong. He was the guy in the wheelchair in BVS.
Yes.
He was in that short too. He was interviewing Ben Kingsley, and then out of nowhere, he pulls a gun on him, and he has a 10 rings tattoo on his wrist, and he was like, the man wants to see you because he doesn't like people like using his name. And even there was just literally like an extra in Ant-Man. He was in a businessman suit because it was like a business meeting, but he had the 10 rings logo tattooed on his neck right there. So it's like, so yeah.
Yeah, if the 10 rings is so like permeated throughout the MCU, why didn't it feel like it?
Yeah, because also, spoiler alert for those of you who have not seen Shang-Chi yet, he died in that movie. I wanted him to be one of those characters that he sticks around for a long time because
like Loki, have him be like a lasting antagonist or something.
Yeah, you've been setting him like, I'm not even saying like make him just evil. I'm not saying make him a villain, but like as an antagonistic force in the MCU, that would be really cool to see, especially since you've been setting him up literally since day one.
Yeah, literally.
Like, bro, have him be there the whole time. Because also you could, you could have the whole like Shang-Chi thing, and you could, like you said, like tie it in with like Iron Fist and the magic side and Doctor Strange. And
definitely, I think that would have been a really interesting introduction to Doctor Strange. Like maybe after Iron Man 3, there's a post-credits scene where like Iron Man's doing his thing. Maybe he's cleaning up his destroyed house, whatever form that movie would take. And the sun gets blocked out above him, and he looks and he sees this like figure just kind of flying in the sky with like this big cape. And he's like, are you Tony Stark? And Tony Stark's being all cocky like he is, and like yeah, and who are you? And he flows down, and like you can just kind of see like the face is still silhouetted, but you can kind of see like the white streak in the hair. It's like, I'm Stephen Strange, you're coming with me.
Yeah, that would be sick.
That would be pretty cool.
That would be fucking flames. And also with the whole like Iron Fist thing, because Iron Fist is also a billionaire.
What?
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't watch the Iron Fist show, so I don't know anything about Iron Fist.
No, because his name is Danny Rand, and there's like Rand Industries. Like his origin was like he was on a plane one time like with his parents, and they were, I think, flying over like the Himalayas or something like that. The plane crashed, but he was also in like a different dimension. It was called Kunlun, and it was like one of the 7 cities of heaven. So he was there learning about like martial arts and how to like fight, and that's how he got like the Iron Fist. Like his hand glows, and he has that dragon symbol. Like in the show, it was because he actually fought a dragon, and because he lived, that's how he was able to get that Iron Fist power. And it's not a tattoo, like it's a burn.
Oh,
so it's like that would be like interesting. And like you could even have it where maybe in one of the movies their paths cross. Like maybe in Iron Man like 1 or 2, it's a board meeting or there's some sort of gala or event, and Danny Rand is there, and maybe like they know of each other, but they just never really like met or something like that. It's just like a quick little cameo, quick little Easter egg. Or maybe if they didn't cast him yet, you could just see his name on the sheet, so like he's there, and like he's kind of like walking about. But then like maybe it's like you could from there you could do like, I don't know, like a Shang-Chi Iron Fist team up movie or something like that, and maybe like one of them is like, oh man, like there's like this villain we got to fight or something like that, but it's like it's mystical, but like it's magic I haven't like seen before. It's like one of them, maybe like Danny's like, I know a guy, and then that's how Doctor Strange comes in, because like he is like the magic, like he's the Sorcerer Supreme. So like any issues with magic, you just automatically go to him. And like, yes, like Shang-Chi and Iron Fist, like they're kind of like their powers are based in mysticism, but they're not like full on masters of the mystic arts or whatever. But
Yeah. Having said all that, because we were mostly talking in his first trilogy for the most part, I would still keep his death in Endgame, Tony Stark.
I think, yeah, because
I think it would be more satisfying if like he had all this character development and he still sacrificed himself at the end of Endgame. I think it would, if anything, be better.
Yeah, if his movies just kind of like resonated a little, if he had stronger movies, then the death would be more tragic.
Yeah,
in a way, you know, and
it'd be more emotional, more impactful, and I think just better because of it.
Yeah, because when he died, it was kind of like, to me, it felt a little random.
To me, I felt it. I felt it hard because it was such a well done death scene, in my opinion. Just like him reiterating the "I am Iron Man" line, and then it's just like it's all quiet, and he snaps. It was very well done. Like literally changed nothing about that. Just his story leading up to it a little bit in places, and I think it would have been a lot cooler, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, because it seemed like, to your point about like change his story up a little bit, like it seemed like within the grand scheme of things, not a whole lot really like happened to him like that. Like nothing really serious.
The big things that happened to him were in Iron Man 1 and then Civil War.
Wow, someone else's movie.
And I guess also Avengers a little bit because he had PTSD in Iron Man 3, but it kind of just went away after Iron Man 3.
Yeah, because even then it's like, so now you know that there is a legit larger universe out there and it's aliens and who knows what else is out there, but but the villain is like Aldrich Killian, you know what I mean? Like it just kind of seemed like,
that actually would have been really interesting, having Iron Man 3 still take place after Avengers and he has PTSD from finding out about aliens. And then if you had the real Mandarin come in with real magic, it'd be like, oh shit.
Oh my God.
I'm already overwhelmed by all of this alien shit. Now I have to deal with magic. This is fucking with my head. And maybe that's why we have Shang-Chi, Iron Fist, maybe Doctor Strange come in, because he's having so much trouble adapting. And they need to pick up his slack, and he starts like being more open to teaming up with other people because he realizes like he can't do everything himself, or technology, his skills with technology can't solve everything. So maybe he starts like thinking of, you know, okay, if I can't handle everything, I need to have a plan for that. So okay, Ultron. That sounds good. I want to protect everything as much as I can. Let's make this Ultron thing. And then that falls through in Age of Ultron, and maybe he's even more devastated, or like there's just more fallout from that mentally too.
Because he wouldn't know what to do after that. Like, I really tried to save the world and it almost destroyed the world. Mm-hmm. And you could have that lead into like the whole like demon in a bottle thing, where he's just fucking drinking himself to death. His life is falling apart. Like, I don't know what to do. I can't talk to Pepper because she wouldn't really get it, but it's also damaging my relationship. Like, none of my friends get it because they're just maybe not as smart as me, or like I'm still kind of like a little bit arrogant because I'm Tony Stark, or like whatever. Like, oh man, let's just build our own MCU from the ground up.
Easy, I got the time.
Low key, bro. Yeah, I'm like I can do it.
But
that'd be like really cool.
I think that is
actually one other thing that I would definitely want to do with Iron Man is I would first off, I would have where like instead of like the two movies coming out in phase 1, because Iron Man 1 and Iron Man 2 are still phase 1, I would have where like, you know, each one is in each phase. So Iron Man 3, after like he goes through like all of that stuff and SHIELD is like destroyed, I'd have it where, one, he learns that his father was very instrumental in creating SHIELD. And because he knows more about him and like he appreciates and respects him a little bit more, because also would be like part of the issue would be like he wasn't there for me when I was a kid, but then he's going through all these files like, oh, it's because he was working on the early versions of Ultron and he was working with Hank Pym and he was
trying to be there for everyone.
Yeah, like he was really trying to save. Oh shit, kick the mic. Like he was really trying to be there for everyone. So like I get it now. And at this point in his life, like in order to maybe either honor his father or to live up to the image that he has of his father now. He's like, I'm gonna recreate Shield and I'm gonna be the director of Shield, and then that would just kind of be.
Yeah, maybe
I feel like that could be a cool like little shift again.
Maybe that would be how he gets over his like alcoholism. Like, okay, I realized after Ultron fails, I realized like my approach isn't working. But if I can become the leader of this program that has so many different types of people working for it, because like maybe they're already recruiting, or I think they would have at this time. They already have, Wanda. Maybe he gets in touch with Doctor Strange, Shang-Chi, Iron Fist earlier. He starts seeing Shield as like this, like a replacement of Ultron. Like this is the Shield this is the web that wraps around the whole world, not with just one piece of technology or like just one approach. This is a culmination of all different kinds of approaches, mystic, magic, space, technology. And maybe that's when he really thrives. And that leads like straight into Infinity War.
Yeah, that would be dope, bro. Like, honestly, oh man. Because I feel like even if all of that happened, like I could still see it. I could kind of still see this conversation go like, if all that happened, then this and this would low-key happen instead or whatever. But no, yeah. Bottom line is just make his movies better. I don't know what to say.
Yeah, but I think
I'm playing Kevin Feige in case he listens to this. I love all the Iron Man movies.
I mean, hindsight's always 20/20.
There's that too.
And we had the added advantage of being able to say whatever the hell we want and use whatever characters we want. And I think that was a big part of like planning. They don't know what characters are going to be a hit. They don't know what characters they're going to use because they have like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds to choose from. So with these select specific characters, this is the story they could have done. And I still really like Tony Stark as a character, the MCU Tony Stark, Robert Downey Jr. But yeah, no, I think in hindsight, he had one of the weaker trilogies. Like his first one, like you said, was the highlight of the trilogy, and the second two were just, they never quite reached the same heights that one did.
Yeah.
And I guess it's kind of a shame, but we still got a lot from him.
Yeah.
Just not as much as,
it
would have liked.
It felt like we got the most from him outside of Iron Man 1. We got the most from him in the other films, really.
What?
Like, at least he was, or maybe I
in the other films?
In not his solo films, like when he was in like someone else's films.
Yes. Okay.
Like that's where it seemed like he was most interesting.
Yeah, because seeing him interact with everyone else and like his reach and how he affects them, like, I mean, case in point, Spider-Man. That's really interesting.
Yeah, it's weird. Like,
you may not like it, but it's interesting.
Yeah, like I don't, because that's another thing. Like his solo, like I don't know. I'm gonna just cut this out because it's like, yeah, he was doing more interesting shit in other people's movies, but not like his own movies, and that's kind of like, well, why did y'all make his other solo movies then if it wasn't gonna be really interesting or really impactful like that?
I mean, they must have gone into it thinking. How do I say this? You can cut this out because we're going over time, but I'm sure they went into it thinking like, oh, this is going to be really good.
Yeah.
Like no one, especially in Disney Marvel, is going into a movie or a show being like, this isn't going to be very impactful or important, but let's make it work, y'all.
Like, I hear you, but it's weird that keeps happening. Where it's like, this is going to be a fucking hit. And then it's not.
And then Thor 4 comes out.
She-Hulk.
Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah. And like, we don't have to like include this, but this is just like a tangent. Like for Iron Man 3, like when he's doing like the Director of Shield stuff, you could have it again. Like I don't know why for some reason Iron Man, all of my ideas are like more like political or whatever. But I was saying like it would be interesting if he's trying to do the Shield thing, but then you have like low key competitors, and then that's when you introduce like Aldrich Killian and Justin Hammer, and they're kind of like they wouldn't be the main antagonists, I don't think necessarily, but they could certainly be like, oh God, I gotta fucking deal with these guys, kind of, Yeah. And again, like yes, they're dark reflections of Tony Stark, but in a political kind of environment like that, and maybe not even just political, but certainly competitive. I don't think it would be too out of the ordinary for characters like that to kind of like cross over with each other and stuff like that.
Yeah. So I guess at the end of the day, I really do like Tony Stark as a character. And if they end up bringing Robert Downey Jr. back, because I keep hearing rumors that he's coming back in some way, shape, or form, I hope they utilize him to his fullest. I kind of hope they don't bring him back because, just move forward, just keep going. But having said that, those are our ideas on how they could have approached Tony Stark's character arc in his solo movies and really just in the MCU as a whole. If you agree with us, hey, let us know in the comments down below. Go ahead and follow us wherever you get your podcasts from. And this has been another episode of HEADCANON. Thank you very much, and good night.